First time trying to smoke something on a Weber kettle. So it's about 8 a.m. now, and yesterday I cleaned my grill. It's nice and clean, so I'm gonna get started with the snake method of laying down the charcoal. I was all out of charcoal and briquettes, so I had to go get some new ones from the store. This is what it looks like with the apple wood. And I'm also putting in one of those aluminum baskets because I don't know how hot this is gonna go, and I want to be able to pour in some water in case I need to control the temperature better. This is pretty primitive, but this is how we're gonna do it. These lighting blocks are just gonna help it out a little with the lighter here. This is basically the setup that I'm going for. So it's a snake that starts around here and goes like that to the other side. And on this side, there's nothing. I don't know how long this is gonna take to burn up entirely, but so the idea is that you have the heat on that side of the tray and then maybe some water here if I can put that in to control the temperature a bit better. But if you put on the lid, this is how you're gonna put on the lid. So the heat is coming from the back side and the smoke is gonna go all the way to these holes, and that's also where I'm gonna be putting the pork belly on. And this is the cut of meat that I'm gonna be working with, a pork belly from my local butcher. And this is what it looks like, what the cuts made. Once the barbecue has warmed up enough, I'm gonna be putting this meat on it, but until then I'm not. But I do need to, when the meat is on there, I do need to spritz it with some liquid every now and then. I believe every hour should be good to keep it nice and moist. So I got one of these bottles that will help me with that. And for that, we got this Monster energy drink. No, actually that one's just for me. I'm gonna be using apple juice for that. The temperature is looking good now to get the meat on there. So let's just quickly take a look at what the other thermometer says. 66 degrees Celsius, 67 on this other side, because this is again not where the heat source is. So there's a bit of a difference there, but I don't know. I think I'm just gonna open this up and put the meat on there. It's starting to get nice and burned over there, and it's gonna make its way on to the other side slowly, supposedly. There you go. Put it right on with the fat side up. Close this up. And make sure that this hole lines up with where the meat is. Looking at the temperature after putting on the meat, and this is a couple minutes after that, and it's way too warm now, so I need to go adjust the airflow a little. It's all the way close if it's on this side, not the other side. I'm gonna be putting this meat probe into the piece of meat so I can actually get a good idea of the internal temperature while this is cooking. I'm just gonna stick it in there, I guess. That's how you do it. It's the meat probe that is measuring the temperature inside of the grill is over what the threshold that I said it should be. So let's quickly take a look at the actual temperature that the Weber is also indicating. So this one's also over 150 again. So I'm thinking, let me quickly turn this off. So I'm thinking I might need to put some water in that aluminum basket that I put in there to control the temperature better. So I'm just gonna pour this through the grate in the aluminum basket that I have, and see if that will help with the temperature control. So I don't know, maybe if I should just be cool with the higher temp. I mean, it's just a kettle grill, so I don't know how much I can actually control this. Just gonna record the temperature for a bit and maybe watch some YouTube videos on my laptop. to see how I can help control this temperature a bit better. Oh wait, it actually just dropped from 120 internal temperature to 119 Celsius. So hopefully when I get back, this is gonna be a little bit better. All right, just checking the temperature again, and it seems that it is going down pretty well. So that's good. But I also noticed that I made a mistake in my conversion. My temperature goal of the internal temperature should be 107 degrees, which is about the same as 225 Fahrenheit. So I'm back after a couple minutes, and it's actually below the 107 degrees that we want it to be, which is again equivalent to 225 Fahrenheit. So I'm gonna open up the airflow a little bit and see if we can raise the temperature again. So yeah, we're making good progress here. And we're learning. All right, let's open this up a bit again and see how this goes. All right, so we did increase the temperature a little bit, so this is working out quite nicely. The temperature can actually be a lot higher for low and slow cooking as far as like the maximum temperature goes. I just looked it up, and 275 degrees Fahrenheit is the equivalent of 135 Celsius. So we are pretty far off, but since it's at 112 degrees Celsius right now, internal temperature of the grill on the side of the meat, I think I'm gonna try to keep it on the lower end. So it's only been a couple of minutes, but if you check the temperature here, you can see it is dropping significantly. So it's at 116 degrees Celsius internal temperature of the grill right now. And that's only after maybe 5 minutes of waiting after adjusting the airflow again. So yeah, this is looking pretty good. In maybe half an hour, I'm gonna have to spritz the meat for the first time. So that's gonna be fun. 107 degrees Celsius is the lower bound of where we want to be. And it can be all the way up to 135. So it's nicely somewhere in the middle. Just had some lunch. The temperature inside the grill is at 111 Celsius, which is good. Time to spritz with some apple juice anyway. So let's open up the grill and have a look. I don't know how much I should, but I'm just gonna try to hit every side and close this back up. It's about 2:30 p.m. So it's time to put on the gloves and spritz the pork belly a little bit. So internal temperature of the meat, 66 degrees Celsius, and the grill is 122 degrees Celsius internal. Let's take this off. Ooh, this is already starting to get some nice color. And as you can see, I'm gonna make sure I don't drop my phone in here. The snake, if you will, is about halfway through. We're about, I would say, yeah, we're a little over 2.5 hours in right now. So it's about time to do some spraying. So left side is definitely a bit darker than the right side. So let me just turn this around. So I was inside waiting, and I heard this alarm go off, and this should mean that the internal temperature of the pork belly is good now to be wrapped. This is already starting to develop a much nicer color. So I'm just gonna go wrap this up in this aluminum foil. I'm just gonna go like that. And then we just close the lid again. So again, we're gonna continue cooking this at 225 to 275 Fahrenheit, or the equivalent of that in Celsius, which is starting from, I believe, 107 degrees Celsius to 135. And the internal temperature of the pork belly should go to about 200 Fahrenheit, which is the equivalent of 93, which I already adjusted on my meat thermometer here. So once this hits 93 degrees Celsius, then I'll know that it's ready to be basted with barbecue sauce. So after wrapping the pork belly in some foil, I left the grill open for way too long, and the temperature spiked up to 140 degrees Celsius, even more. And the upper bound of where I wanted it to be is like 135 Celsius. But just being patient paid off, because I just reduced the airflow a little bit, and I also moved the meat away from the current source of fire. And just by waiting about 10 to 15 minutes, the temperature dropped to a pretty good point of 125 degrees Celsius. So that's a good in between of 225 and 275 Fahrenheit. So I just heard the alarm from the thermometer, and as you can see, the internal temperature has reached the point where we can start unwrapping and start basting with barbecue sauce. Oh my god. Oh wow. Look at that color. Look at that. Wow. That is crazy. Look at the juice as well. It's leaking. I'm glad I put it into one of these aluminum trays. Oh wow. This is super juicy. God damn. There you have it. This is my first ever pork belly, or first ever thing I smoked on a barbecue ever. That's awesome. So I'm gonna cut one of these up into cubes. I'm thinking this smaller one. This one might be better for slices. Or the barbecue sauce. Yeah, let's do the sauce first. This is probably too much. Oh well. Can you really have too much barbecue sauce? I mean, you probably can. Let me just spread this a little bit. Now the brown sugar. This is starting to look pretty awesome. And on goes the butter. Now we're gonna take some aluminum foil. Cover these bad boys up. All right. And this is what that looks like before it goes back on the grill. That looks awesome. Both on the grill now, and oh, that's nice. My flashlight turned on, so now you can really see the barbecue sauce on there. The smoke ring, or the snake with the charcoal briquettes, is still going. I tossed in like 4 extra ones, but this still needs to go for about 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm gonna close this back up again. It has been enough time, about 45 minutes, for this to baste in the sauce. So as you can see, it's looking nice and sticky. And these other pieces should be good to go as well. Look at that. That looks awesome. Because, well, they're just like the other piece, but coated in some barbecue sauce, but also brown sugar and some extra added butter. So this also is looking very nice. So I just put everything inside the aluminum foil basket to keep it warm on the grill until the other people arrive. Let's take a look. Wow. Look at that.